Thank you, Andre. Hello, everyone. My name is Saber, and I'm the general manager of Saber Middle East. I have over 20 years of experience and in different fields, but mainly supply chain management and developing businesses, developing the small and medium-sized enterprises. An interesting topic that I chose, actually, I chose it yesterday because I've been having some problems recently over this week. All of our long-term contracts are being renegotiated. So I chose the topic of negotiating your way to 2021. With this crisis in Lebanon that we're having, actually multiple crises, and one of them is the financial, other the economic, and the cash flow crisis, especially the US dollars. We're facing a lot of renegotiation with our clients and a lot of renegotiations also with our suppliers. So it's been really stressful for me, but of course, at the end of the day, if we use certain tactics, certain ways, but the most important thing that we need to do is to stay genuine, to stay truthful and honest. This is the best way you can negotiate your way through hardships. So you have to be very truthful. And of course, today I'm going to give you a few tips of how to negotiate your way forward. Especially now, everything is negotiable. On the table, under the table, above the table, everything is negotiable. So our topic for today is negotiating your way to 2021. What I'm going to discuss actually is it's not going to be a typical presentation, but more or less I'm going to ponder a little bit about the process of how we communicate our needs to the world and how we try to persuade others. But you have to be very effective, and you have to think, how effective are you at communicating your needs? Because this determines if our needs are met or not. Now, just on there to double check, is my screen being shared? And
Yes, we can see.
what do you see in front of you? The
Negotiate your way to 2021.
Okay, excellent,
That's
very
why I
good.
love the topic.
All right. So to repeat is we have to think about how effective are we at communicating our needs, and this would determine if our needs are met. So the key word is how. Uh, and you ended up with Fatima earlier, and here now I'm going to start with it. Is the key thing is you need to listen first. Okay, so to be successful in your negotiation and either communicating your needs or understanding others' needs, you need to listen first. So people need to listen first, and they also listen to the volume of your voice. If it's high or low, the tonality, how is it? And lastly, the context. So it's at the end is the words. They're the least effective. So in order to communicate effectively, you need to have the confidence, and you need your confidence level to be built up. And how do you usually develop confidence? It's rather, it doesn't take a scientist. You just have to develop your knowledge. In every negotiation that you're doing, you have to do your homework, equip yourself, do the research, do the background research about the people you're meeting or the people you're negotiating with, about the product or the service you are buying or you're selling. So all of this develops your confidence when you have the knowledge and the know-how. You equipped yourself, and of course, um, you can think about being more creative towards getting a solution rather than just being laid back. Now, what do we mean by developing your knowledge and developing your confidence? It's you need to identify specific facts and know how to respond to different questions that you might be asked. And when you confidently show up to a negotiation, you have the know-how, you have the knowledge, you're well prepared, then you are ready to engage in a huge part. And this is what makes a negotiator really great. So do your homework well, prepare, research, ask people, ask around. So prepare yourself well. Uh, that's how you show up with developed confidence. Now, many people, I know that for a fact, and even when I'm sitting in an interview, in a meeting, somebody is negotiating with me, many people have anxieties about negotiations, uh, but the best way to overcome them is just treat it as a conversation rather than as a business transaction. Just as I said when I started earlier, when I started by saying that be truthful, be honest, just be yourself. Okay, so this thing about coming up with high ball, low ball, these strategies really don't work anymore. You have to be as candid as possible, as truthful as possible, and be yourself. Build a connection, build a relationship with your client or with your supplier or with your peer. So it doesn't matter where you are, just build that relationship by being honest and truthful. And this will helpfully make you more relaxed when you are attempting to ask for your needs to be met. Now, of course, this is easier said than done, but with practice, it becomes perfect. And many people are afraid altogether of coming up or showing up to a negotiation or asking for it. Uh, this is where you have to develop some control over your, we say, biology. It's overcoming your fear. Try to exercise your brain to control your emotions. And here the topic is wide open about the emotional intelligence part. So this is where you need to work on controlling your emotions, understanding them, and not being afraid from opening up to the other party that's in front of you. Especially now in times of crises, we're facing a lot of problems and negotiations are happening, as I said earlier this week. So just be open, but don't be overconfident. Uh, Andre, just to notify all the viewers, we are in Lebanon, so at 6 p.m. the electricity gets cut off. So in case I'm away from the screen for a while, don't think it's me who is causing it. But of course, there's backup, so no worries. I'll be with you by voice. So let me move forward with just not only developing confidence. When we try to meet the other party, there's something called, we've heard a lot about the win-win solution. Nowadays, especially during times of crisis, this is not always the ideal solution. And actually, you would strive to reach such a solution. There are many points, that you would want to tackle to getting to your, what we call getting to your yes. And you need sometimes to be hard in your negotiation, going hard, but where? You go hard on the issue or the point. You don't go hard on the person that is in front of you. So this is very important when you're negotiating with the other person. I just had yesterday a quick 20 minutes negotiation call, and I was really hard, but on the point, not on the person themselves. Also remember, and this is what I've put in the title, is instead of thinking about a win-win solution, because it's really hard nowadays with all the crises that we're facing, just think about what are your alternatives? What can you do in terms of what can you accept other than what you're planning for in the beginning? So we go for what we call the BATNA, or the best alternative to your negotiated agreement. And remember when I said earlier that you want to be truthful. So when you treat it as a conversation, when you're talking with the other people, how do you engage your biology? So which means is You need to be relaxed, and just you were discussing earlier with Fatima also, as you can read the body language, you can see it in their eyes, in their face, and of course, a lot of meetings now are happening over Zoom, so you can see it, you can read that body language through the camera. And make sure always when you are negotiating or when you are meeting and doing the negotiation, I always ask them to turn their camera on. And this is very important because you can read through their biology and their body language. So how can we get through this hard thing? We're just gonna explore a 4-step process, okay, of negotiating through. I've tried to simplify it as much as possible. So we go through 4 steps to have a winning approach. And the winning approach could be for you or could be for both. First and foremost is to have what we call, to start with, an empathic statement or empathetic statement. What do I mean by empathy or being empathetic? Is that, you have to show that you're putting yourself in their shoes and understanding their feelings. And this is very important because when you show them that you understand what they're going through, then people will feel good about themselves. Is that, yes, you understand what I'm going through. So this builds more a connection with the other person. And you would start with, here we say empathetic statement is that you show that you understand. So for example, it must be frustrating for you that you're facing so much pressure from your boss to reduce those costs. So I've used the word, it must be frustrating for you. So I understand how they're feeling. This builds a connection directly, oh yeah, he understands. I'm frustrated. So this is very important where you build a connection. And also, whatever they're feeling, or you need to try to be as specific as possible about a certain issue. And I said you would be hard on a certain point. So if I'm discussing, for example, yesterday I was discussing about our training programs. I was very hard on the point is that I'm not willing to compromise on the quality of the service. Okay, so not saying, so I was very, very specific, quality of the service, not being less specific about it. So this is very important. And the next step, so after building that connection, that feeling, empathetic connection, try to listen. So you need to listen. That's the key word. Listen what they're saying. And when we say listen, it's listening to their body language, listening to their tonality and the voice, and then of course listening to the words. And when they're speaking, do not interrupt at all. Try to get as much information as possible. And keep in mind that, of course, you will be allowed to voice your opinion. So, but do it later. Let them talk. Let them say what they have to say. And the third step in this process is you need to repeat in order to confirm. So did you understand well what they're saying? Okay, so you build that connection, you let them talk, you listened, and then repeat to confirm. And this allows you to confirm 3 things actually. You make sure that you got their facts correct, and it makes them feel like you were really listening, and it allows you to pace the negotiation forward and move for the 4th step in this process, which is to ask for something or offer something else. And when we say here ask or offer, you need to offer options. Okay, so this is the 4th and final step, where don't go for one option only and fight for it. No, remember the BATNA that we said earlier, your best alternative. So here, generally speaking, the best or ideal way is to offer them or 2 possible options. Okay, not more, because it becomes overwhelming, and not less. So don't overcomplicate things, just 2 options that would work for you. One of them would be maybe compromising on certain points, but then the other party would accept what you would be offering. So when you create these options and you're speaking during the negotiation in general, I go back to the point, is that you should be really telling the truth. Do not make up anything in the negotiation. Sometimes, and this it happens with me, is that if I prefer not to talk about things and we are bound by this, we sign non-disclosure agreements. So I expressly say I am not able to disclose certain details because of the NDAs, because of the non-disclosure agreements that we have signed. So this would, allow the conversation to move forward, and then try to agree on the options that you have presented. So this is like a four-step process or a four-step approach, simplifying it, connecting with the other person, listening, and then offering certain options. And remember, in your negotiation, you have to follow some kind of a system, and all systems, they start with a strategy. You have certain tactics to apply that strategy, and then the operations, how you move forward. How do you find it so far? Just to, if you have any questions on Facebook, I'm not sure if.
Are you done? Are you done?
No,
So I ask
no,
you a question.
I have some engaging questions for them as well.
Yes.
I
would
can
you
move.
like to take it at the end or now?
I can move forward. How much time we have? So just let me know.
If you would like, finish your information, and then we take the question.
I want to make it more conversational, so I'll start with a question from my side.
Pass. You want to ask a question? Go ahead.
Yes, audience.
Okay, go ahead.
I can ask them questions, they can answer. So what if the other side is unwilling to negotiate? What would you do in this case?
Okay, we have a certain delay between Zoom and Facebook, so we will wait for the answer if you want it. Meanwhile, okay. I'm going to tell you that Hani commented was very interesting presentation. Pascal has a question, but I guess you might answer it in the comments later in order not to shift your topic. And I know that you have many offerings of programs and training. So will you have one on negotiations in 2021?
Yes, we have one, and it's called Certified International Professional Negotiator.
Wow.
Yes.
You're always good with topics, with titles.
It's not the title; it's the core, the content as well. But it's a certified program. We have re-strategized our offerings to the market. So all public offerings are usually certification programs. So you go through a long process. This is a 1-month program. On a weekly basis, they attend several sessions, and they do a lot of role play, a lot of mock-ups, and then they have a final assignment and an exam. And after passing all through this, the exam is from the US, so they become certified as professional negotiators. And this certification comes from the US. It is not issued by our academy, so it's a certification program. And probably, of course, we're always asking the institute to provide us with some kind of part scholarships. They know the problem with the US dollar rate, so we're always negotiating with the masters of negotiation to get them some support.
Great. I already included Saeed's LinkedIn profile in the comments, so you can connect with Saeed and also follow Saber Middle East, the company. We have an answer from Joanna. She said it's a problem answering your question. And she said, ideally, we need to understand why they are not willing to negotiate and what they are interested about. Marwa also says, thank you very much. And actually, Marwa and who else? Pascal have 2 questions, but I believe it's better for you to answer them in the chat box in order to keep the time.
Sure. Sure. But just to answer the question about if they are unwilling to negotiate, if they take sometimes some other party, they might take an irrational position, but yet you still need to close the deal or solve the problem. Maybe you have a conflict. So in this sense, you might need to, if it's not being solved amicably, you might need to go to the next step and engage a third party. So you bring in a third party where you get maybe a mediator that can understand the problem, why they're being irrational, and they understand the problem objectively, and also they mediate from your side as well to get through the problem or the issue more smoothly. So this is one question that I had in mind, because sometimes we might be facing it. And I have another question, if I may. I'm not sure if I can.
Go ahead.
Okay, another question to the audience is, how much truth is really necessary in a negotiation? So I said in the beginning is that you need to be as truthful and as honest as possible. And the idea is to have a winning negotiation, believe me, is just building a relationship, whether with your client or with your supplier. So you have to establish that genuine connection. So how much truth is really necessary in a negotiation?
Good. So while they are answering, we wait for their answers. I have another question for you.
Okay.
I know you have trainings, and as I said, you're always good with titles and the content, of course, and the delivery. But the titles, I'm always like interested and curious about the titles. I remember previously you had the 3x3, right?
3x3, yes.
3x3
program. Yes.
And some of them were about negotiation. So
yeah,
what's your
3x3 at 3 o'clock.
exactly. And now you have الأربعة على الأربعة every Wednesday.
صح صح.
Okay, so Said, what's your recommended book about negotiation?
Oh, instead of telling you about a book, I can tell them about the resource that I follow, and I receive emails almost daily. You can go to Harvard University. There's a program called Program on Negotiation, or PON. So if you just Google PON, P-O-N, that's PON Harvard, okay, you will directly go to that website. It's by the Harvard Law School. It's not by the Harvard Business School, okay, so by the law school, but it's very related to business. And they put a lot of blogs, a lot of articles. You get updated, especially now during COVID and the crises, and reviewing your contracts and all these things. So PON is a very excellent resource for you. You have a lot of free stuff there, but you can also subscribe and get, for the paid content, you get additional material. But
I included the link in the chat.
Yes, there are like, I think they have 12 or 24 free mini books there for negotiation, and they're excellent.
You have Jean-Paul saying 100% if you want to build a strong and long connection with them. Joanna, trust is necessary in my opinion, and one aspect of building trust is being true, not lying and saying the truth.
Yes, and to add on that is that, if you really be truthful and you do the disclosure of put everything on the table, it would save you money on the long run. So this is very important. Do we still have time, or
1 minute?
one minute? Okay, then I want to ask you a question yourself. And of course, the audience can reply as well. What about negotiating with your colleagues?
That's we already start with a common ground and with a relationship, so it can be easier depending on the subject and the challenge that we are negotiating on.
But if it's a colleague, it could be never ending, huh?
Exactly, but knowing enough about them should be easier.
Yeah, but okay, but it could be never ending. We've sat and spoke for hours this summer, right?
Exactly, yes.
So I think the best thing is if you're negotiating on something like you and me, for example, we're colleagues, we're friends, and you're standing on a certain point, the best thing for me is to stay calm. So
Yes.
I need to stay calm. I need to control my emotions and not match your energy if it's too forceful. That's my tip for you.
Thank you, Said. Said, you're sharing a giveaway with our audience. What is it about?
Yes, it is a negotiation checklist. So it's a one-page checklist when you're doing your negotiations in order to successfully close a deal.
Thank you. Anything else you would like to share?
No, I'd just like to wish everyone a good evening. Thank you for watching and thank you for hosting me. And I hope 2021 would be far much better than this year. Not that this year wasn't good. We're always thankful for the things we have rather than the things we don't have.
Thank you, Saeed, for joining us and for always adding value. I recommend everyone to follow Saeed's profile and Saber Middle East. They always have tips and cases to share and a lot of value. Thank you. Have a great evening.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye, Andre.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Bye.